Hey, how's it going? Back with another video. I'm gonna do Viper Breeze defense now, as promised. Same format as always, guys. I think I'm gonna talk a little bit more about the map to begin with, and kind of the significance of Viper and the util that you put on the map and how your team should play around it. And then I'll get into the game and talk about specifics. Let me just go ahead and turn my little. I don't want to hear the birds chirping on Breeze. Anyways, so Breeze again, comps that we're talking about here, most standard stuff is going to be 1, 2, 3, Jet +1. I don't really care about the +1 right now. But yeah, typically on defense, you just look at this comp. I mean, sometimes it's going to be this, it's going to be Reyna, it's going to be Harbor, it could be Omen sometimes, even Yoru. But the main thing is all of those agents, they don't really have much stall outside of KO. KO is really the big other stall agent. So on this map, like, naturally you don't have a ton of stall. Like, you have Cypher, and Cypher is good, but typically you want Cypher to be kind of your info player on a site and mix up anchoring, but then also make sure that you're playing a little bit for retake sometimes, right? Viper is really the only true stall agent. Like, Cypher is, don't get me wrong, Cypher is a sentinel and can stall, but when teams really decide that they want to go to your site and they shock dart your trip and they run you down and they dash on you and they dart you, and you know what I mean, it can be really, really hard for you to anchor on this site, on this map rather. So a lot of teams, what they do at the professional level is they'll play Cypher B or sometimes Cypher A with the intention of having like a really good info cam that the attack side should be trying to break. So on B, typically it's, you know, up here, so they have to come all the way up mid and then break the cam. On A, there's a couple different ones that, there's a couple different ones that they do. Some teams do this, right, where they could see into A main and then see mid. Some just prefer to see mid and not see A main. Some like to put up here. Some put above here. It just varies, right? Anyways, my point is, because you don't have a lot of it, like Sova is not a stall agent, Jet is not really a stall agent, right? Jet is a fight agent, an agent that fights, and you can anchor sites with Jet really well, and stay alive, but you can't really stop rushes, right? So because the Viper util is the most impactful stall that you have, right? Because people can, trust me, people can run out of cages, like, it's not that strong, right? They can shock dart trips. Sometimes your Cypher's going to get knifed. It's really hard, right? But Viper, people are not going to run through an orb and a molly most times, right? So with that being said, on this map, because it is so big and you can't really rely on cross map mollies, or on stall, a lot of time the Viper util kind of dictates the way that you're going to play the map on defense. Okay, so I'm just going to talk about some really common walls to start out with. And with that goes, like, the intention of playing for retake on one of the sites is usually pretty common. So usually you'll play one site to heavy stall and fight, and then the other one you'll kind of play retakey, unless you're fighting for mid or something like that, okay? And in that case, the map can get, you know, you can start playing for flank a lot if you're playing for mid, you know, whether it's through A or through B. People are walking down halls a lot. But yeah, anyways, let's get into some of the Viper specific stuff. So let's talk about B walls here. There's a really common retake wall that we see a lot of the time. Most people do it from, there's like a little, some bricks that poke out of the wall here and spawn. And you do this, and really what teams are doing is they're making sure that they cut this right down the middle. And really what it does is it allows you as a team to retake through spawn or through, from elbow through tunnel, right? Isolating the fights with this wall, right? If you go through tunnel, you don't have to worry about these guys. If you go through spawn, you don't have to worry about people looking at you through main, right? So it gives you two options for the retake. Both are pretty strong. But also what it does is, if spike's planted default, sometimes what you can do is the wall will cut it down the middle. So depending on which way you retake, you can also retake through elbow like this, right? And kind of like do a pinch retake like this, and then just focus on these guys later with a late spawn wrapper. But anyways, what you can do is you get, sometimes the wall goes through the spike, and you have the ability to kind of like sit on either side of the wall and diffuse and make sure that the enemy is behind it. Okay, so that's one use case for this wall. And what's really strong with this is you can throw this at the start of the round, and then you can run over and play A. For me, I know in ranked a lot of Vipers are playing B because the Molly stall is super strong with the orb. Don't get me wrong, it's very, very strong. But to me, I think Viper is more useful towards A, because you can play power positions like rail, yellow, even close A main, and fight for A main with your teammates with the intention of stalling mid door, stalling A main deep, even stalling halls splits, right? And then really what you do is you put Cypher with a trip and halls just to lock that in until teams start shocking it. And then you go and you play some type of setup on B. Teams are always going to shock this unbreakable trip. Like it's not really that great. The higher up in elo you go, but at low elos, this trip is super amazing. Maybe I'll do a Cypher tutorial sometime. But teams are doing something like this, and then putting cam here or cam here, and making teams. On defense, you want if the enemy team is not going to go and break your Cypher setup or break the cam or pressure the Cypher, a lot of times you can just play 4-1 with the intention of 4-1 meaning 4 people towards A/mid, doing some type of mid fight or playing an A or getting aggressive in halls or getting down elbow or whatever you want. And you can kind of play away from the Cypher, and Cypher can just have all the info in the world. He has info here, he has info here, his trip has B main. You don't have to worry about rotating over to B if you have the intention to play retake on it, okay? So that's one of the use cases for this wall. Other walls that we see pretty frequently, teams are doing one that like cuts elbow and down mid, something like this. A lot of the time I've seen different variations. Sometimes people are doing deeper like this. Right? It just really depends on the team and how they want to play it. Sometimes teams are doing this, down like this, and taking more space, getting under the shoot. It just depends, right? And then in a round like this would be more of like a mid fight wall. You know what I mean? Where you guys are getting out, taking the space in mid. Maybe this is something that you would throw on a round where the enemy team has heavy ults and you don't really want to anchor the site and you'd rather play for mid because that gives you more options in the retake to flank or to kill off lurkers, right? One thing that's super important on this map, guys, is that you need to clear out this Cypher lurk in mid. Okay, it's super hard. Usually you won't get a Viper lurk too much on this map because the wall is needed. The Viper needs to throw the wall down on a good timing. And then the mollies are really strong for scaling and taking the site. So a lot of time playing for mid and clearing out this mid lurk is really strong. So this Viper wall kind of forces teams to respect the fact that you might be down in mid. They might use their Sova drone to clear it. There's different walls that people do, and they're all just different variations of cutting down mid, okay, or cutting elbow and mid. All right. So these are really the two main B walls. I'll show you another wall when we get in game that's kind of cringe that I really like, that I've gotten some cool aces with, that of course I don't have clips for, but just trust me on it. but it's really good against low buy. It's kind of a ratty wall that I'll show you guys. And yeah, that's pretty much it for B. And then on A, I mean, obviously you can throw your standard, like, you could throw something like this if you want, right? Or even something like this that cuts down to mid if you really, really want, because that'll give you a little bit of space in mid as well and cut elbow, okay? That's pretty much it for the B stuff. And then Viper Orbs on B, really the standard stuff is just throw one into the main. I'll show you a quick lineup from over here at half wall. And then I'll show you a Viper Orb from elbow over to A main, okay? That's pretty much it on B. And we'll get in game and show that stuff after I talk about A really quick. So the common walls on A, lots of people are just doing this wall, right? It's kind of A main this, and again, this is not really an anchor wall. This is a retake wall, right? So people are doing this, and then sometimes people are doing this wall, which cuts. It's from the corner here, but cuts down into halls, but gives you some flexibility as a team to play around it. This is more This is a retake wall as well, but it also gives you the ability to kind of anchor and be a little bit annoying and play around this wall. You know, you can start here, you can kind of get a kill with spam, and then you can move and kind of, you know, with the intention of leaving. And then what else? What else? Any other walls here? There are some teams that do some retakey walls like this. But again, yeah, there's lots of variability. But what you guys need to understand is the way that you place your util should kind of direct your team how they should play. Okay, it should direct them on what the win condition is in the round, right? Because if you just try to anchor sites away from the Viper utility, it can be really, really tough. It's doable, but it can be really, really tough, especially if you're going against full execs. So I'm talking about more so like team stuff. In ranked, generally I would just, if you're playing B, I would probably save the wall for retake or use a mid wall, right? A lot of Vipers are also, you know, throwing the orb B and then saving the wall, and then you rotate through mid, and then when you get to mid, you just wall off main like this, right? So that's another use case for it. But at a professional level, teams are very, very intentional in the way that they're using the Viper wall. You know, you'll see this a lot of the time from B to over here to B, and then Viper will run over and play A. So if you get really good on attack at kind of understanding what teams, like if you're VOD reviewing a team professionally, you see what type of Viper wall they're throwing. Okay, when they do this, they like to play here, here, and here, or they believe that this is, you know, that when they use a mid wall, that's because they're not fighting for the mains and stuff like that, right? So understanding how teams play around their Viper wall and their Viper utility can be a really good indication of, or a really good way of anti-stratting them on a professional level. Okay, anyways, now that I've talked about the map a little bit, in terms of like the Viper util, we can kind of get into server now, and I'll start going through some cool. Let me turn audio on a little bit. Some cool. I got the new Phantom, of course. Some cool use cases for the util. Okay, so let's start with A. Just get my wall back. Now, let's just say we want to play retake B, which means we want to fight for A main. Okay, so now start of round, and it's very important as Viper, start of the round, you're running to your spot. You're running to your spot to get your wall down, okay? So I put my wall down, and I'm knife out, and every second matters, so I'm cutting the shortest distance. I'm not going around here, I'm going up here, right? I'm dropping down. Shortest amount of distance to wherever I need to go. If I'm playing mid door, then I'll go mid door. If I'm playing A main, then I'm going towards A main. Now, I'm going to show you guys some cool lineups for orbs that I think are really strong with Viper. So one lineup is you go here, right into this, then you aim at the left side of the light, and this is going to give you a one-way for A main that you can kind of play around. But this is also really strong in retake, right? So if you are retaking A main, and you go ahead and you orb that, you clear left, now you can drop the orb, and then on the second cycle, you know that everybody has to be on the right side of the orb. Then when you put it back up, you can just molly deep behind it, and it makes the retake really, really hard for them if they planted here, right? So that's one really good orb. Another good orb is, so here, start a round. Obviously, throwing this in the mid round is really hard. This little special notch here in the ground. And then above the light here, I believe it's this right here. You throw that, and that's going to bounce like this, okay? And that orb, you pop it, and it blocks all of A main. It gives you a little corner to play in if you want to rat around it, but it also gives you access to the orb, okay? So this is super, super strong. You can come in here, you can tap this, you can bait out some shots, see if you can get any info. You can throw this orb and you can pop flash through it, right? You can throw this orb at the start of the round. So you throw the orb, and then, you know, you go for a deep molly, right? And now you know, like, you do this with the orb, and now you know that these people have to be over here. There's probably a way to so you throw the orb, and then you can just kind of run like this and rip a deep molly. It'll kind of get this. There's probably a better way to do this. So let's see if I go here and throw this, and then I go, you know, I bet if you just throw it something like that, that's a little bit better, right? But you can kind of pressure A main. The other thing that's good, guys, is I think it's here. Oh no, it's here actually, sorry. Here, just even with this. And then I think I was aiming. So just aim like, basically you go here and then in between this and this. So just like down here, right in the middle. And this will just get the stairs, okay? So you can throw this and you can kind of control A main, okay? Now this is really strong for a lot of reasons. One, you get access to the orb, especially if you do this deep one. It's super safe. Like you can do that and then molly it. You can come over here and kind of grab the orb and you're almost like, yeah, you can get spammed, but it's not that likely. But you get control of A main and you make it really, really hard for teams to take A, especially if you have a trip and halls, right? If teams have to 4 or 5 man up mid ramp, this is pretty small choke and there's a lot of different angles that they have to worry about. Top stairs, yellow, rail, even sometimes your jet can be up here, right? And you can get up there, start a round with an updraft and they can't hear you. It's really strong. So doing stuff like that can be strong. But yeah, this is just some A site stuff that's really strong with the orb. The other things you can do obviously is, oh, actually one more thing with this orb that lands here, because lots of Sovas will drone here, you can pop it up and you can kind of sometimes time a molly where if you molly like here, it will bleed through sometimes. So it was a little high. If you get the molly to basically land like here, it'll bleed through. And if you pop your orb up and let it chunk the Sova down low, you can kill him with the while he's droning sometimes. The other thing you can do a lot of the times too is, you know, even if you just orb main and you notice that the Sova is droning, you can just molly right there. And sometimes you'll get him off if he's in the corner. But yeah, that's pretty much it for A main, and then just playing around the orb and being annoying. One thing that I will say though, guys, is and I yapped about this on the attack side video, don't be afraid to fight for A main and get this deep line. It's really, really strong. But also understand that if teams are pressuring up mid on you or up halls, you can kind of push forward and take this space the same way that we would on split B site on defense to make their post plant really, really hard, make our retake really, really strong, right? So that's one good thing, okay? So A main is super strong because one, you get the line. Yes, there's an orb and you can deny the enemy team an orb, which is, for some reason, a lot of teams just, you know, they'll shock molly this, they'll get control here, and throwing this orb and being able to like fight back and drop it and pop through is really a good counter for that, right? The other thing that teams do sometimes, they'll put like a one-way cam that can kind of see your feet here, and this orb will block that, right? Put a lot of pressure, so you can block that. You can get to a spot like this if you want. And yeah, you can get a kill, pop your orb, and leave, and then molly your orb so you don't get traded, right? So that's a good use case for the orbs over here at A. We got the one way here, we got this orb, and then we got the deep orb, and then also just a main orb. Let me think here. Okay, orb for mid door. So here you go here, and let me see if I remember this one. Shit, I think it's here, and then crouch. A little higher, I think. Yeah. Okay, so what I'm doing is I run up into the wall. I try to get even. This is better to throw as the round is starting, right? You aim below this tile, and then you just crouch, and you throw, okay? This is going to give you a one-way for the door. And like I said, if you're not playing for A main, Viper is really strong in spots like rail, stairs, even yellow, because you have the ability to molly ramp the door if they open it, and you can molly A main if you need to, right? Or you can molly bricks or whatever, right? So being in like more of a, as Viper, you don't always want to be the first point of contact on defense if you have your mollies up, right? You are the only agent that can stall, so making teams deviate away from their initial plan on their attack rounds is really, really strong, especially if they commit their Viper wall. If they commit their Viper wall somewhere, if you're able to stall their hit, especially if they use drone, right? You got to think about the idea of counter util on this map, right? Is super strong because the util that teams have is naturally super low. Lots of teams are super Sova reliant, you know what I mean? And if you can stall their hit when they drone, and you make sure that they get no value from the drone, or when they put their wall down on their first time, and make sure that they don't get maximum efficiency on their gas on their wall, you can have a really good chance of winning the rounds. Okay, so throwing this orb is really strong, and then the other thing with this orb too is it pops up into halls, so you can kind of have one of your players play around it. Lots of teams will do this kind of cam over here, so you can kind of like beat the cam and get aggressive here sometimes, and take a gamble and play here. It's kind of good for anti-eco or rounds where you feel like you want to push A. Okay, that is pretty much it in terms of orbs over at A. Okay, let me show you the wall really quick. So barriers right around here. Typically, I'll show you two walls that I like from here. So I just aim between these two circles, right? Like this. Actually, sorry. I prefer doing it a little further right. So if you're here, I'll aim at the right circle like this. And really the reason for that is you can get some cool, easy kills if you play here. Not because you're hidden, but you can see people when they cross. So what you do is you aim like here, and you spam. So as they come through, you can kind of kill them, right? So they get vulnerable for a second, and then you shoot them. Okay. What else? Okay, other wall that I like on A. So yeah, some teams are throwing this wall. So it's like this, and then this is kind of like more of an anchor wall, but also a retake wall. It allows you to fight here, and then kind of go with the wall and get over to bricks, and then come through the wall without being spotted from main, right? So that's a good one. And then the other wall that I think is strong, this is one that I created. It's just kind of like from here. And what you do is you just aim, not here, but over here. You could just pretty much aim at this, I think is good. So you do here. Same thing here, guys. You can kind of like sit on this box here. You can watch as people run through. You get kills. Now you can turn and you can kind of play around this little gap in the wall for the mid door, okay? You know, you can play this, right? Play molly, stall, whatever. Honestly, the way I actually messed it up. You want to do it from like right here. So here, and we can aim at the top of the boat. Okay, so like this. And then there's a smaller crack for you now. But you can still kind of play around it. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the A stuff, guys. The only other thing that's important is knowing how to molly stuff efficiently. So we go here, this is bricks, so here, and then I just aim like literally right above that. This is actually a tough molly to get to land, so it spreads and hits everything, so it's important that you guys know how to do this. So here, again, this corner, and then just right above the middle. Okay, there's that. And then if you go bottom stairs, you go here, you just aim at, see these two leaves, the vine right there on the right hand side. That'll get all of this. This is really good if you want to do shock molly on the plant, right? So that is good. Obviously, just over here, you know, you kind of just aim. Sorry, that was, I actually don't have a lineup for that, but I think it's important to have one. So I was aiming here. I think just aim at the roof and take one step. Should be good. Yeah. So you kind of need to be peeking for this. Oh, the other thing, guys, on this map, I know it's kind of a vandal map, but like for Viper, if you get really good at spamming their wall, you can get so many free kills, especially if you're doing like good mollies, right? So if you have a teammate playing here and they wall up and you go to molly the bricks, you give them no ability to run here and avoid spam. They have to be out here in the middle, right? So it's really good to like use your molly to force them out of certain spots, okay? Especially when they're running in and scaling, okay? Let me think. What else? Oh. These are two good mollies. So this is bricks. So this little box here, just right in the middle. Okay, that's a good one. So you could do that. And then you aim, I think it's right here on this vine, and that'll get main. So like, I don't know. If you want, you could rip both of them. You go like this. Molly main to force them out, and then molly bricks, and then wall up. you know, or if you have your orb, it's better, and then you can fight people in the open here. Okay, that is it on A. Yes, that is it on A. That is it on A. Yep. Okay. Let's talk about. Let me show you one molly from mid. I think I'm just here. Oops. How was I doing this? Sorry. Sometimes if your team wants to go for a mid fight, it's good for you to use one of your mollies to kind of get one of these weird angles. So let's try this. I think it's here. Yeah. So this will kind of full spread and get this whole angle. So if your teammates want to flash through the wall on mid, you know, maybe you do like, I don't know. Maybe we don't do the wall this round, but we want to go for a mid fight. You just come here and you just aim at this brick right there, jump throw. Okay, simple. Okay, B stuff, B stuff, B stuff. Let me show you the A orb from B. Actually, this is important. This is a good way to spread your utility across the map, so you can kind of play both chokes. I think this is really strong and ranked. So what I do is I aim. There's a little black, a little dot right here. So I put my molly there, my orb there, and then, okay, see this bar right here? Okay, the left click of my orb, okay, above it there's the white arrow that curves like this to the right. When the top of my arrow gets to the top of the pipe, I will jump throw. So it's like, it basically hits this thing right there, okay? And you just throw that. You run and jump throw. So this is a good way to, especially in ranked, trust me guys, especially in ranked, if you throw this, it helps your teammates hold A a lot. Even though you're not there to molly it, it helps a ton, okay? So there's that. That's really good. And then when you do something like that, you could just throw kind of like a B wall, you know, whatever wall you want to do. You can do, you can cut one down to mid like this, right? And this will spread a little bit further than it does on the mini map, so it'll go all the way down to bottom mid, which is good. Or you can save your wall for retake, like I've said before, and you kind of just use Cypher Trip, and you use your mollies for stall without an orb over here, right? And then you just can retake mid and then use your wall and retake. Or rotate mid and use your wall and retake. One easy way to orb B quickly from spawn, or not really spawn, but from McDonald's. So this is good if you're rotating from A to B and you're able to pick up your orb, or if you come here in the start of the round. This one's kind of hard to do, but for some reason in my brain it's easy. There's like this little brick here that goes left. All the other ones kind of go right, except for this one. There's two of them, so there are two of them side by side. So it's this left one, and then I put the top right hand corner of my right click above my orb on that corner there. And you kind of just throw it, and that'll land right, barriers right there. It'll land right in the middle. Okay, so you can throw that and you can leave. I know I've talked about in the past of having the smokes deeper, and ideally you should, but with Viper sometimes it's a little bit different, right? Because they're taking damage in the orb, so you want them out longer taking damage. But also this one you can throw at the start of the round and then rotate over and play A. This is the wall that those guys were throwing. I already showed this, didn't I? So there's that. Let me see, what else am I missing? So showed the A, should be, oh, I can show you this cool, this I've never seen any teams do this. Kind of come here, you aim at this, you run and jump throw. This will kind of go deep elbow. If you want to play for elbow, kind of helps your teammates. Also, like, we'll block the Cypher Cam sometimes. B stuff. I don't really know if I have a ton of B stuff. I mean, generally, really, guys, it's gonna be pretty simple, right? Like, you come here, you throw the orb, and if you're anchoring B, really your job is to have somebody jiggle for you, or you jiggle, right? Something like this, right, with your molly out. And the second you see somebody, you just molly right there, and you pop your orb up, right? And then all you're doing is playing for rotations at that point, okay? One thing that's really, really strong on this map when you're anchoring is picking, when people run out of this choke, they always run along one of the sides. So they run here or they run here, right? So what that allows you to do, especially if you have your orb up, right, is you can play back pillar and you can just gamble spray one side, or you can come across to this side, gamble spray one side, molly this, and then just kind of hold and play around this pillar and just rat around it. Another orb that's really strong for you sometimes is more of an anchor orb, is one like right here. You know, teams try to exec on you, molly this, and now you can kind of hold this headshot angle. They're not going to run through this on you. It's too hard. Am I missing anything else, really? Sometimes if you want, you can listen here at the start of the round. Really, when you play B, it's important to play kind of close because you can hear people sometimes. You can molly this and you can kind of hold for a sec. Try to get some rotations. Other than that, that's pretty much it, guys. Like, it's really just about making sure that your teammates are playing around your util, playing around your wall, making sure that you are not the first point of contact when you're fighting. You're using your mollies to stall, and we're playing around the wall for retake. Right? Those are really, really the big things, guys. Let me think. You know, mollying this and retake can be strong. You know, make sure you hold for people because a lot of times they'll tank the molly and then they'll swing at the end. So using your mollies to clear stuff and retake will always be strong. Making sure that just same way that you would on attack, when your team is ready to retake, you know, hey guys, are we ready to retake? What util do we have? Okay, let's do this. I can wall up. All right, walling up. Boom. And then when the wall is about to come down, make sure you're walling down. All right. And yeah, just try your best. I know it's hard in ranked, but try your best. In ranked, I would suggest trying to split the util, so throwing your orb to A main and then using some type of wall on B, or saving your wall and then rotate and you know, saving your orb. I guess like make sure if you're playing A, you pick up your orb and rotate B so you can smoke off main, like I showed you guys from half wall, and that, or do the retake wall. But generally in ranked, retake wall is not really that reliable because your teammates will just die. So I think a lot of the time what you should do is you should try to play, if you're playing B, try to do the orb for these guys over here if you have a cipher. If not, use the orb in main and then rotate over through mid and then use your wall for A and retake. So hold your wall on defense. And then if you're playing on A, I would generally kind of do this. I would try to do this retake wall more often than not. And then use your orb for main and kind of focus on playing for main. I think if you get really good at contesting people in main here and slowing them down, you'll see that the map will become really weird for them, right? They're going to do a lot of mid splits and stuff like that. And if you can be disciplined and kind of play spots like top stairs, yellow, rail, even here or here, with your Jet and your Reyna or whoever else, versus just taking the 50-50 fight right here, right? Like, this is the most common thing in the world that drives me crazy. When you get people up into these kill zones, right? This will be a kill zone anywhere around here, right? Kill zone is just a spot where they have to look at multiple angles, right? This is not a kill zone, right? So, like, if somebody comes here and peeks this angle, this is not a kill zone because this is the only angle that they have to worry about. It's everything on this line, right? But here, this is a kill zone because they have to worry about this, they have to worry about this, they have to worry about that, they have to worry about that, they have to worry about this, right? All of this stuff, right? That's an optimal kill zone on defense, right? In this game, it's simpler than you guys think. You want to force people into as many unfavorable fights for them and as many favorable fights for you. And how do you do that? You limit the amount of solo peeking that you do on 50-50 angles, and you try to shoot as many people in the side of the head while they're in kill zones. I mean, obviously easier said than done, but really that's what it comes down to. But yeah, I think that's going to be it for the video. Again, playing B, super simple. Just play to stall the choke. If you're playing on B, just play to stall the choke. Make sure you're at least jiggling for info, listening, or you're close listening early, and try your best not to get hit by the KO knife. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks again for all the support. I think we're almost at 400 subs now. I think so. I think we're almost at 400, which is crazy. I really appreciate all the support and the love. I'm gonna keep pushing out content. I hear you guys in the comments about timestamps and cleaning things up. I know there's lots of things that I need to do. I'm not. The way that I do this is super organically, and I just ramble. And I should just outline everything and make it super organized and get somebody to do thumbnails for me and edit the videos and and do an intro and stuff like that. And trust me, eventually I will get there, so bear with me. But for now, it's not that it's low effort. It's just, one, I don't really know. I don't want to pay for somebody to edit my videos, number one, at the moment, considering I'm not making any money off of them. But then also, like, it's just a time thing. You know what I mean? I don't really have the time at the moment to dedicate a ton of time to optimizing the way that the content's coming out, but I will in the future. So I hear you guys. I appreciate the suggestions. I value them. And I will do my best to try to implement them going forward. But yeah, I think maybe what I'll do starting soon is I'll kind of do macro breakdowns of maps. That might be more helpful to people, because it won't be agent specific and everybody can kind of learn from it. So maybe I'll start doing that for my next series, and then just kind of put out these guides, fundamental videos along the way. But yeah, anyways, thanks again for all the love, the subscriptions, the support, comments. I really appreciate it, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.